I'd love for you to let me know you can hear me. And second of all, let me know where you are, where you're located, what your name is, what you do, why you're here. I want to get to know each of you that are in the room. So chuck it in the comments. Be fantastic. Jamie from Hobart, awesome. Tracy, Sunshine Coast. Caitlin from Perth. I love how spread around Australia we are. Gold Coast, Skye, New South Wales, Janelle, WA, Lisa, Beach Earth, hey Jess, Sue from Emerald. I love it. Thank you all for being here today. What we will be doing, hi Verena from Auckland, I can see you've put that in the Q&A. Catherine from Sydney, I love it. All right. So we are it's going to be a jam-packed hour together. And if you have questions, you can absolutely ask them. I ask that you put them in the Q&A so that I don't get lost in the chat. I will be answering a number of questions that have already come through to us via email and that sort of thing as well. But that'll be towards the end of the session. Today, we're very much going to be talking all about what Profit First is and how it generates revenue and return on investment for bookkeepers in particular. So I'm just going to make sure you can all see my screen. So is everyone here in the room a bookkeeper? If you are, put yes in the comments because this is very much tailored to you. And love that. Yes, yes, yes. I love the exclamation marks. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to talk all about... Sorry, my screen's just gone crazy. Profit First. All right, so let's start here. How many of us can relate to this? How many of us are feeling frustrated, worn down, or just a bookkeeper in many ways? And I'd love to hear how you're feeling at the moment in relation to this. I can see some hands raising. I'd love to see any comments. How many of you end up with multiple phone calls, juggling all of the things, having all of the time that just seems to be running away with so many deadlines and a lot of compliance and not necessarily that return on investment? I know I've definitely been there. More importantly, put in the chat if you have clients that currently have cash flow issues. How many of them get the shock when you tell them what's due on their BAS? Can see some yeses in there. Absolutely, definitely. They don't even know what cash flow is. Oh my goodness, lots of them. Absolutely. And how many of you feel like you're trying to help them, but you can't really get through? I'd love to know if this is something that you're facing. If you could put it in the comments, raise a hand, any of those things. This is what 100%, see that? 150%, my goodness. Yes. Have money, we'll spend. Payment, add to payment plan. Oh my goodness, absolutely. But for us as bookkeepers, and I absolutely love this slide because it represents how I feel a lot of the time, or how I felt as a bookkeeper, that there isn't that surplus of time, that no matter what you do, there's just so much more. And, you know, with the changes that are happening in the industry and the burnout that is real, who here is feeling really tired of all the compliance? Who here feels underpaid and overworked based on how much we're doing for clients and the value that they're not really seeing? Today, we're going to look totally here. Today, we are going to be looking at ways that we can change this, but I'm just trying to gauge where you're at because I know these were all things that I experienced. So how many of you have some clients? Yes, great. Thanks, Philippa. How many of you have heard of the 80-20 rule, which is the Pareto principle? That, yeah, cool. I can see some of you have that 80% of what you're doing has the 20% of what you're doing brings you 80% of the outcome. How many of you feel like you're working 80% of the time and only getting 20% of that outcome? I know that, yeah, I can see we've got some hands up and we've got a number of different people in the chat. We need to change this because bookkeepers are in the most amazing position to help business owners. And I know that it feels tiring and frustrating and like you don't have the time to help. But profit first is definitely something that can help you do less but have more impact. And most of all, how to keep it simple. How many of us, when we go and show them reports, talk about profit and loss balance sheets, you see those glazed over eyes or that lack of understanding? Profit first is simple. Doesn't mean it's always easy to implement, but it's simple. Today we're going to talk about what profit first is, how certification works, what a profit first service for a bookkeeper looks like. So we're going to be really specific around that, as well as some real life examples of profit first professionals who are also bookkeepers and how this can work for you. Before we jump into it, I do want to just introduce myself. My name is Laura. I go by the Profit Pioneer, and the reason why I chose this name was that I was really sick of being just seen as a bookkeeper. And instead, I kind of coined the term Profit Pioneer to start a conversation, a different conversation. So I run multiple businesses. I'm a mum of 2. And the biggest thing that I wanted to get out of my businesses was that it served me rather than me serving it. And I'd love the same for you. So my first business, which I've now just sold, which is really cool, was Adroit Business Solutions. And that was a bookkeeping business. I have other businesses as well that are still accounting and bookkeeping, but this was my baby. And this business is where I started my journey as a profit first professional. So in this business here, we did bookkeeping, Xero setups and training, all of the standard things. We also then, helped people with their cash flow, but we found it was really hard getting through to them until I found Profit First. And that was over 6 years ago. Oh my goodness, I'm getting old, time flies. But what it led me to do was change my business and then change other businesses' lives. And through doing that, I got to learn all about Profit First and became a Profit First professional. And I'm now the CEO of Profit First Australia and New Zealand. And my job now is to train other accountants, bookkeepers, and coaches in the Profit First methodology and support that community to help all of their clients. So what I want to see are people within our industry loving what they do, making that difference to people's lives and being paid well for it. So that's me in a nutshell. But what I want to start with is who here is familiar with Profit First and what it is and how it works. If you are, drop it in the comments. Let me know. If you're not, I am going to go through it like a little bit. Cool. Yes, from other people. Amazing. So let's start with what is Profit First? We all know that accounting has a broken formula, that sales less expenses equals profit. And if it worked, we wouldn't have the number of businesses that come to us going, yes, there's a profit, but where is my money? Accounting alone focuses on the numbers and what has happened. It's retrospective, and it ignores the human behavior around the numbers. So the human behavior being, we check our bank accounts. We make decisions without looking at reports, without talking to other people. And so Profit First in itself doesn't change a person's habits, it leverages them. And so we've flipped that formula. So it's sales minus profit. So we take our profit first, leaving us with expenses. That is what we have left in our business to run our business. And it is the way that we work. We look at our business and it is based on this law. Our behavior is based on Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law dictates that whatever time you have available is how long it's going to take you to do something. The same is absolutely true for money. If you have $10,000 in the bank account, you're going to spend $10,000. It's human nature. Whereas if you have $1,000 in the bank account or $10, the same applies. And what Profit First actually concentrates on is portion size. So how many of us go out to dinner and might go to a buffet and overeat? I know that I am absolutely guilty of that. Versus if we put our food on smaller plates, the same is true for Profit First. It is about more bank accounts, smaller portions, better purpose. And what it actually does for us as business owners and our clients is it removes the temptation to go, oh, I've got this surplus or perceived surplus sitting in my bank account. I'm going to go spend it. And then the ATO bill comes in and you're like, I need a payment plan. And what it's based on is percentages. So a lot of the time I see, and it's very natural for us as bookkeepers to go move $1,000 into this bank account towards GST, et cetera, and that'll help. And it does help. But what happens is it still has that mindset of, oh, that $1,000, I'll put that back in here, pay for this thing, pay myself back. Then I never pay myself back. By moving from this simple change of dollars to percentage, it means that no matter what income comes into the business, you can split this out into these percentages. So on the screen, you can see that there's an allocation percentage here as an example for businesses from $0 to $250,000. And what this basically means is that the main bank account being the income account. All it does, its sole purpose is to accumulate funds so that they can then be distributed to it. So it means that there aren't monies coming in and out and going everywhere and getting all confusing. Instead, all it does is receive the funds. So at any time, the business can see what income they have received in cash and then can split it out to 5% of profit, 50% of owner's pay, 15% of tax, and 30% of expenses. So one thing to note is that these percentages at the moment with this example are generalized. They're based on the book, but it doesn't mean that these will fit to every single business. And as a Profit First professional, you learn exactly how to change these percentages to suit the business, the industry, and the goals and challenges of the business owner. But let's stick with this example. The idea being that even if there is $1,000 in the bank account, 5% of that is going to sit in the profit account. So that even if it's a lower month, there's something being put aside towards this. It is as much a mindset change as having the right cash in the bank account. How many clients do we have that do not pay themselves well? Put it in the chat, put your hand up. I know that most of my clients, when I got started with this, weren't even paying themselves a minimum wage. It was, oh, well, whatever's left over. I don't know how they possibly lived, but based on $0 to $250,000, they should be putting 50% away because they're working in the business. And if they ever had to move out of that role and hire someone else, they would need to have that money there to be able to pay them. So it's a twofold thing. Putting money aside for tax. So GST, because I know you're going to ask, because we've all got an attention to detail, comes off the top. So I'm not even talking about GST at this stage. This is once they've got their real revenue where the money goes. 15% of tax of their income is not the same as the profit. We know that tax happens on the profit, whereas if you're putting 15% aside of total income, there's usually a surplus. And then that leaves the business 30% to pay for their operating expenses. I'm yet to see a business that can justify having a 70% expenses account. And I know they all try because we're human. We're like, oh, we need this thing and we need that. But it's amazing what we actually need to run our business. The next step in terms of Profit First is knowing that there's an allocation order for everything. There is a reason why we say profit first. If we put our profit aside first, even if it is that 1% to start with for a business that needs to make a lot of changes, it is saying that I am prioritizing profit. I am making sure that I'm putting some of this aside. Then they pay themselves because they're working hard in their business. Then they put the money towards tax and then they pay for the expenses. It may seem very simple, but this shift alone and this allocation process makes a huge difference to business owners. And here's just a quick snapshot of what it can look like in a client's bank account. So you can see here that we've split them out. We've got income, OPEX, tax, profit, and owner's pay. And they will, on a particular rhythm, which I'm about to talk about, will move this money around so that whenever they log in, this is what they see. They can make really good decisions. And so I mentioned about the implementation rhythm. So in the book, it states the 15th and the 25th. What I see in Australia and New Zealand is that either weekly, fortnightly, or monthly is what works for businesses. But the key here is to actually implement a rhythm in the business, because what happens when we do things in a haphazard manner is that we miss the little cues that happen when there's a downturn in something, or there's an issue with pricing, or whatever it could be. And so, having that money date once a week, or once a fortnight, Mondays, Fridays, whatever day it is, but that same day, that same rhythm will tell them what's happening in their business. We have helped people change their pricing within a week once they had a rhythm implemented, because you could see the margin just wasn't there. And the rhythm also shows the downturn happening before it's a problem. The other thing is that Profit First is absolutely flexible. So yes, we have the percentages that are in the book, and they're great as a starting point, but it needs to be flexible based on what the business owner needs to get out of their business. What are their current challenges? What are they trying to repay? What are they trying to earn? What revenue goal actually makes sense for them, not just something that they pull out of thin air. The other thing being is it's not all or nothing with Profit First. There is a rollout of Profit First that happens. It happens over time. And generally, it is based on how a business owner can do things. Some business owners need months to make changes because it's a small step at a time. It's that 1% change. Or there are others where it's like, right, I'm in, I'm done, made all of these changes, here I go. And neither one is right or wrong, but what is important is that it's rolled out based on what they can do, how they can do it, and in a way that's sustainable for them. And as you can see here, that, it happens generally in 3 stages, where you might need to reduce expenses, you might need to increase revenue, you might need to make sure that there's actually more GST put aside than not. And so these stages happen over time. And this is where being a Profit First professional makes such a difference to the business owners. The next part is the quarterly profit allocation, or the profit distribution. So the profit account in itself, we spoke about putting our profit first and having these funds set aside. What the purpose of this account is many, really. The first is to ensure that the business owner gets that distribution as if they were a bigger corporation and getting that profit distribution. And I'm not going to go into the nuances of how we allocate this and that, because that definitely comes later and isn't as valuable right now to talk about that. But having an amount that comes on top of what they're paying themselves each quarter is amazing when it comes to their motivation and the changes that they can make. The other idea of the profit account is to have a rainy day account. We want businesses to have a buffer so that if the worst was to happen, we saw it happen, that things stopped and the income didn't come in, that they have funds that they can utilize to help them make really good decisions. And so what we do within the profit account is have up to 50% go to the owner and 50% put aside for a rainy day, unless, of course, they have debt. And what do I mean by this? So debt being credit cards that they need to pay off, ATO debts, any sort of loan that they have, anything that needs to be paid down. It could even be their money that they've put in and they need to pay themselves back and they never seem to find a way. The idea being that the minimum repayments come out of your operating expenses account, but you use your profit account each quarter to put an additional payment, and you can pay up to 99% of what is in that profit account to crush this debt. And it has been amazing to see the types of big amounts of debt that we've seen. We've had people with $150,000 in ATO debts clear these in 12 to 18 months by using this method. The biggest thing about the Profit First methodology is you distribute it. You stick to your rhythm, you do it even when it feels hard, you make some tweaks, you adjust it based on what they're seeing. It's a living system. It's not reactive, it's proactive. It's what's happening right now. And if anyone that is stuck with it and has made these little adjustments have had amazing outcomes. Some of them being, and I wanted to share because I'm sure you've heard Profit First is amazing. It does all these things. It's a game changer, but let me give you some actual examples. We've had people who have implemented Profit First with a Profit First professional and have gone from below minimum wage to their desired wage within 6 to 12 months of the implementation of the system. We've had people increase their revenue by 50% by highlighting a pricing issue through the Profit First assessment. Because in the assessment, and this is something that you get to learn as a Profit First professional, you get to see where things don't make sense and where an increase to a price can make such a difference. The next being the debt that I spoke about, $150,000 of debt paid off in 18 months. When left on their own, it just seems to accumulate. People have been able to travel with their family each year when it was never a possibility. Others knowing the exact amount of money that they have available so that they can hire team and support without guessing or going backwards. And others have worked less because they've realized they don't actually need that massive revenue goal that they thought they had to strive towards, because we're always trying to earn more money to fix problems. Instead, if we look at it with the Profit First lens, it could be less that they earn just treating their money differently. And so these are big things that change people's lives. And so what I want to talk to you about today are some of the challenges or the questions that I hear from bookkeepers and other professionals around what it could look like. So we're going to talk about what the Profit First offering could look like for a bookkeeper, how much you can charge for it, how to get existing clients excited about Profit First, finding the time to get certified, because we just spoke about how little time we have and how difficult it seems to be, as well as the return on investment for the money and time that it will take to become certified. So let's get started. And remember, if you have any questions whatsoever, chuck them in the Q&A. We will be answering them towards the end of this. What does Profit First as a service look like? How does it work for bookkeepers? That's what we're going to talk about. Going back to my most favorite slide, which is time. I know that this is a limited resource, and I wanted to talk to you about how you could implement Profit First as a service for things that you're already doing. So yes, you can absolutely have Profit First as a standalone thing, but let's look at what you're already doing and the numerous possibilities that you have at your disposal, the way you can implement Profit First as a service. First things first, no more free meetings. How many of us have the phone calls from our clients where you are talking about cash flow, or you're trying to help them, or you're doing what is really considered advisory services for nothing? If you feel comfortable, please share in the comments. But this is the time that I'm declaring that you do not do this anymore, because there are other ways that you can be helping them where you can be paid for it. I see that. Yeah, absolutely. Every day. Meetings don't charge. Yeah, same questions every month. Exactly. So no more of that. Here are some other ideas for you. How many of you do Xero or QBO setup and training? I'd love to see it in the comments. Yes, I can see some yeses there. Quite a few of you. Okay. How does this work with Profit First? This here is something that we already do, and I'm going to share with you what I do in my business. People come to you wanting Xero set up either because they've got themselves into a difficult situation and they've never done anything and they need a brand new file and it's absolutely messy, and so you start again, or it's a brand new business or it's a new entity. How often have you actually had a conversation with them where you've grouped your Xero setup and training with an advisory service? Probably never. And what I mean by that is that we have simply made a change by calling it the business success package. And that is where we talk about what are they trying to achieve? What is it that their challenges and that sort of thing. And so there's Xero setup and training that happens as part of it. Profit First Blueprint, which is basically a plan and a blueprint and assessment for them to see what's happening in their business and then how to roll it out. We support them with the bank account setup and putting it into Xero, and then the first allocations together. That there, where I know that a lot of bookkeepers will charge for zero settlement training fixed fee around the $500 to $1,000 mark, that there is double that to start with, even with startups. And the difference that it makes for these people is amazing. You're already spending time there. Add it on. The next example being with your existing clients. So how many of you here, and I'm really curious to know, have sort of top tier clients where you're giving them management reporting, doing more of a CFO kind of role? If you could share that in the comments, that would be great. Yep, so I can see there's a couple of people there. Even the smallest tweak of changing the management reports to be with the profit first lens, to having the bank account set up, to be looking at it on a percentage basis based on what they're trying to achieve or the changes that they need to make, they pay so much more for, because it's meaningful to them than just what has happened. It is also a time where you can start to have the conversations with them around what stages they need to do to make these changes and how to make them, implement them. Profit first assessments can be done at this time. Support around, if there are businesses that semi-set it up themselves and don't do a great job, this is where you can come in. I personally, when I became a profit first professional all those years ago now, utilized only my existing clients for a period of time because they needed the help. They just didn't know how I could help, or that as a bookkeeper, that it was even possible. One of the things that I did was look at my clients, my top clients, and look at, well, how else could I support them, and implement a profit first within that. The other thing that I did is look at my clients and, those that have been around or were coming up to another year with us, contact them and say, you are entitled to a one-on-one with me where we can look at what's working, what's not, what your challenges are, and what your goals are for the next year. Are you interested? 80% of my clients said yes to that and then went on to implement Profit First in some format. It's just a matter of rolling out in a way that moves you from the compliance data entry into a, let's talk about you and your business and how this can support you. The other thing that we did was, and for this, with our management advisory offerings, we were charging something like $1,000+ a month for that sort of stuff on top of what we were already charging. We had specific packages for them that included goal setting, profit first implementation, review of what's working, what's not. We did standalone profit first assessments and rollouts, which are thousands of dollars that people would pay us to help them with. You could even have a one-off session where the person talks about, hey, my pricing's a problem. Great, let's do a profit first assessment. We'll be able to see where the gap is, and then we can have that conversation. That was charged. There were no more free meetings. The next being new clients. How many of us get new clients that come to us, want a bookkeeper? Please put it in the chat, chuck your hand up if that's the case. Here is where you have such an opportunity to help them with Profit First. Some of our Profit First professionals will do bookkeeping and Profit First together. It's like a non-negotiable. It's not, I'll do Profit First and then I'll do bookkeeping. It's like this, I am a Profit First professional that also does bookkeeping. And so packages are formed that way. We have other Profit First professionals where part of their onboarding for their new client is to do an assessment, is to really give them the view of where their business is sitting, and not only support them to do the compliance, because as we know, compliance needs to happen. That's not the hard part. It's changing a person's mindset, behavior, and all of that. And then, if each of us have our own specific zone of genius. So some of us are amazing with systems, some of us are amazing with pricing, some of us are amazing in, the personal side of stuff. Profit First can integrate with all of these. It can become another bolt into what it is that you are offering, each of which only add value to what your client's trying to do. Now, one of the things that I was pleasantly surprised about as part of looking at, well, are businesses really looking for bookkeepers and Profit First, or are they more just after a coach? from our website, and we have a pairing service for our Profit First professionals where business owners are looking for a PFP, a Profit First professional, to help them implement Profit First in some way. We get a number of these leads each day, and 57% of the leads that come through us, not even those that go direct, just who come through us, ask for help with bookkeeping and Profit First combined. So you are in an amazing position to help. You're already on the ground with them, and they know that bookkeeping is essential. So their next step and extension is Profit First. I actually thought it would be accountants, but they come in second to bookkeepers, which is an interesting little fact for you. Anyway, I wanted to say you're in the right place considering Profit First if you have an established business with active clients, that you're looking for a new way to assist your clients with proven results, that you really have a genuine desire to help your clients, so to become more profitable, to pay themselves, to stabilize their cash flow and to get out of debt. And if you're also looking to build your credibility and set yourself apart from other bookkeepers and move more into the advisory space. So if you are, I'd love for you to say, yes, I am all of those things in the comments. The one thing about Profit First is it's not a flash in the pan. It is something that has been around for quite some time now and is implemented globally. It's tried, it's tested, and it's proven. I personally still do Profit First in my businesses, and anything I learn is shared as well, just like the rest of the community. We also attract clients that are committed to making a change, because that is the hardest part. How many of you have clients that complain to you about the same thing over and over and over again? And you're like, I've told you this, we've had this conversation. They're not ready to make a change. Those that read the Profit First book or hear about Profit First, something clicks and they're like, right, yep, I'm ready to make a change. So you're then able to have those conversations. You can be paid premium fees for what it is that you're doing, because you're doing something that makes sense to your clients. And it helps you grow your top line revenue as well as theirs. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the Profit First certification and membership is about, just so that you can understand what it looks like, because I know that we get a lot of questions around this. And so let's dive in. So Profit First training. Certification is important because we want to ensure that every single person that's helping other businesses is doing it in the best possible way for them, because it isn't cookie cutter. It is something that is going to depend on what type of business, what kind of industry, and what they're trying to achieve. So it's the reason why we introduced the certification, and this originated in the US, is because we have learned a lot through implementing Profit First, and the book is just the starting point to be able to Australianize it, and also be able to put it into New Zealand businesses too, so that you have a service offering that works, that gets the results each time, and that has a process as well. And there's a lot of how-to in the certification, as well as the theory and principles. So the one thing that I wanted to let you know is that it's just the start. A lot of people think that the certificate, once you're a certified Profit First professional, cool, done. What next? It's just the start. We have the certification because we want to ensure that every single Profit First professional is helping their clients in the best way. But we also have continued education. We have resources, we have marketing, opt-in, leads, resources, calculators, all of the things that you could possibly need to mold to your business. So we don't dictate what it is that you have to do, but you have plenty of options available to you to be able to put it into your business and do it your way. And that's the thing. You're the expert in your business. To get started with the certification, you need to implement Profit First in your business. Because non-negotiable, you need to be able to guide your clients and have walked down that path. All of us need to be more profitable, because profitability is, as you know, the thing that is longevity and sustainability for a business, but it also allows people to give back, which for those businesses where that's important, the more profit you have, the more you can do that. And so we teach you how to implement Profit First in your own business, how to do a profit assessment, and how to roll it out. And some of the return on investment just from doing this in their own business is that Profit First professionals have paid off $80,000 of their own debt. They have increased their prices and changed their revenue and therefore profitability. And they've then been able to step into speaking opportunities because they've lived it. And so that's why the first step is always implementing it in your own business. The second step is to implement it with 2 beta clients. So these are 2 of your existing clients. And it could be anyone, and we do recommend that you choose different industries so that you can get as much experience as possible, but it's basically a run through, a pilot with them to implement Profit First with them, to roll it out, to understand what worked for you, what didn't, what needs to change, how you want to offer it as a service offering going forward. Also gives you the confidence to know that you know how to do this and that the results are there. We just had a Profit First professional post in the Facebook group that she had managed to help a client not only pay off debt, but then have this surplus, and it hasn't even been 12 months since they've been working together. And then the third part is to really integrate it into your business offering. So this isn't a franchise. This isn't a, you must do it this way. It is very much about, what did you learn? How do you want to serve your clients? Where does this fit in your business? And how are you going to offer it, as well as pricing resources and all of the things that come there, as well as how to talk about it, how to get people interested and all of those things. And we try and make it as easy as possible for you to be able to, once you're certified, step out and sell this offering. To finalize the certification, there is an exam and there is a 90% pass rate. Don't be scared. By the time you've got to this point, you will know what you're doing and you will pass with flying colors. The reason we do this is it just ensures that the theory is there and there is a recertification that is required. The other thing that we get asked all the time is, okay, I can do this. I'm a sole, the proprietor. I'm someone that's doing this myself. But if I really want, my goal is to grow. How can Profit First help with that? Well, it's teachable and it's scalable. So we have Profit First professionals who have their staff do the assessments and the behind the scenes stuff, and they show up and they talk to the client and they advise and they make the changes. And so it really is something that is teachable and scalable. It doesn't always have to depend on you. There are parts of it that you can get a VA support with and that sort of thing. So just think outside of just you doing all of the work as well, because it absolutely can be done that way. And it doesn't need to be offered on a one-on-one basis either. We have a number of Profit First professionals who do this in a one-to-many format, whether it's a course or a group program. And so the opportunities are really endless, and it's going to depend on your business and what you're hoping to do. The next thing is, and I love this apple with the eggs, differentiation. So how many times have you seen someone go, I just need a bookkeeper, what's your price? Or just do the bookkeeping, and they don't really want to have much of a conversation because a bookkeeper is a bookkeeper is a bookkeeper to them, right? Profit First or becoming a first professional already differentiates you from other people. And so I want to now show you a couple of examples of PFPs and what they've managed to do with this. So I'd like you to meet Katie. Do any of you know Katie? If you do, I'd love to hear that in the comments. So Katie came to us with she was a bookkeeper and she was no longer in love with her business. She wasn't having fun, and that's one of her top values, and felt like she was not making the difference with her clients. And so she took the plunge and decided to implement Profit First in her business and become a Profit First professional. She's now a mastery member as well, which is the next level up from core, which it's really about growing your business as a Profit First professional. But even before then, what she ended up doing was stepping into becoming a Profit First coach. So she was one of those bookkeepers that didn't want to be stuck in the doing of the bookkeeping, but didn't necessarily want to walk away from it. She wanted to separate her offerings. And so now Katie runs Profit First for Tradies, which is its own Profit First business, as well as owning a bookkeeping business, where she's grown that with, a small team that services clients. And that works and functions for her and brings leads and vice versa. But she now has differentiated herself as an owner of a bookkeeping business. And what she does is profit first coaching. So she's known as, the profit first coach and business strategist. She's also written her own book, and she has managed to, with one client, which she does in a 12-week offering. So she does a 12-week intensive with minimal one-to-one clients because she doesn't love one-to-one work. She much prefers the group environment where she'll work with 1 to 3 people at any time for 12 weeks and charge $16,500 for that profit first implementation. It is premium fee. She then has courses and other programs that are available at a lower price point. The opportunities that have come Katie's way as a profit first professional is that she managed to, she said yes to authoring Profit First for Tradies, which is now also turned into a podcast and other opportunities around that. She delivers Profit First modules and training for other business coaches. So she doesn't go in search of all of these new clients. Instead, she collaborates with other business coaches who love Profit First, but it's not their zone of genius. And so she'll come in and run a workshop and that sort of thing. So as you can see, like, there's different ways that you can do this. It doesn't just have to be the same way. She's also spoken on many podcasts, has her own Facebook group, and runs workshops. So this is just one example of a Profit First professional who was a bookkeeper and has transformed her business into something that she loves and wants to turn into. The other thing that I wanted to share with you was this survey that we did globally for all Profit First professionals compared to zero accounting and bookkeeping industry. You can see here that year by year, the top line revenue increases. And so the longer you are a Profit First professional, the better the return is. It's also things that, common things that are happening is that PFPs are doubling their income within 12 to 24 months, but working about 40% less. And these aren't just things that I'm pulling out of thin air. This is, information that Profit First professionals are sharing with us. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, that's great for Katie, but she seems like someone who's a go-getter and she's interested in all these things. And I don't relate to that. I'm different to that. Katie is actually an introvert. She gets quite scared about walking into big groups and that sort of thing, but has overcome these over the years. But what I do want to share with you is a different type of PFP and what they do, because everyone is different. So I would love for you to meet Najma. So Najma started her business from scratch, so a bookkeeping business, and decided to become a Profit First professional at that stage. She does not offer Profit First separately. Every single one of her clients has to do Profit First and bookkeeping, because bookkeeping gets done and Profit First is where the value is. Now, she does not run a huge business. She much prefers to work with a small number of people and go really deep with them. And that's perfectly fine, because that's what her business is all about. She's implemented Profit First herself from day one of her business. And so that's often a myth that we get. We get people saying, Profit First doesn't work for startups, or you have to earn money, profit at a certain point to have it work. No, Najma implemented it from day one, where whatever came in, she put money aside. It meant that she ran a very lean business for a period of time, but she grew sustainably. And what she's happy to report is that her income progressively increases, has from day one until today, and continues to do so in her way. She's also been able to work on her business and her personal development. So one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Najma, when she first started as a Profit First professional, would rarely turn her camera on, would rarely speak. And now she's out speaking on podcasts and talking about it, because she's seen the difference it's done to her business as well as her clients. What it's done for her is boosted her confidence in knowing that she has the ability to help her clients, not just with compliance, but how she can help them be sustainably profitable too, because she's done it herself. And, one thing that Najma doesn't share very often, but I'd like to share with you, and I do have her permission, is that She wants her profit account to grow so that she can give back to the world in some small way. And so from her profit account, she builds wells. So for her profit distributions and from her profit accounts, she will donate the money to build wells around the world so that women can get an education, children can get an education and water, and they don't have to walk the miles that they need to each day to get that. And so this is someone who's keeping her business quite small, but making that impact and doing it in her way. And I wanted to showcase these two examples because they're two really different ways to do profit first, but equally as amazing and game-changing for their clients. So realistically, we're at the point where you've got two kind of options. You can continue what you're doing the same way you've always been doing it, with having the same conversations, watching your clients struggle, or you could embrace something completely different and step into becoming a profit first professional so that you can help clients get their cash flow in order and start to achieve their goals in a really easy way. What I will say is that becoming a profit first professional is not for everyone. So this is not the sales pitch where we're like, come sign up. It is more about having the right people join our community. So we want bookkeepers who are proactive, who care about our mission, which is to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And even if you don't work with entrepreneurs and you work with business owners, the principle is still the same. We don't want to see the businesses fail. And if you're aligned with that, then we would love for you to join us. We are a very collaborative community. We're looking for people that are willing to learn and share themselves and are open-minded, because there's a lot of stuff out there where people are like, profit first, it doesn't work. And it's generally because they haven't implemented it properly, might I just say. And that sort of thing. So being open-minded and sticking with it really does make a difference. If you want to be profitable, come join us. And if you want to work in a way that serves you and your clients, just like I showed you with Katie and Najma, then we would love to have you. What you need to know is that the certification normally takes about 3 to 6 months. It can be shorter, and we do sometimes hold fast track certifications where I will work with the newer members to run through in a month certain things, but certification normally takes 3 to 6 months. As I stated earlier, it includes an exam. And certification requires the profit first implementation in your business. And we do say you need about, as well as 2 beta clients, you do need about 2 hours a week whilst you're training in particular to attend some of the calls and schedule the time in for profit first. Now, we only open for 2 intakes a year, and that is because it's quite, it's a community where we want to give our all to you. And we've found that having 2 intakes really works well for that. We're currently open now until the end of May, and then we don't open again until later in the year. And so I wanted to talk to you about what, that we do have a bonus available for people who join by May, as well as by the end of March. So if you are going to say yes to becoming a profit first professional, there are bonus trainings and resources that are available to you. Some of them being how to prepare your business for profit first, the power of profit first, which shows you how we have calculators and that sort of thing around what profit first does, like how to know what to afford when outsourcing and all sorts of things like that. Pricing your profit first services, how to outsource and build your team, because a lot of the time we get stuck in the doing and need just a little bit of help. So it's not necessarily about scaling your business to have, 18, 20 staff. It could be key 1 or 2 people that can help you with this, and how to build the business that you love. Because I know that I definitely was stuck in a cycle of feeling really over my business. So I don't want that for you. If you were to book a call this week for any time in March and join by the 31st of March, I want to work one-on-one with you in the business strategy around how profit first can be a service in your business. So not just generalizations, but getting down and dirty with you around how this works in your business. Now, we're all about transparency, and I'd like to tell you about the pricing. We have a tiered pricing approach. So in year one, it's $9,900 or $990 a month on payment plan. Year two, it goes down to $7,700. Year three, $5,500, and year four plus $5,000. The reason we have this tiered approach is that years 1 and 2, there can be quite a lot of learning. It can be quite intensive because we do offer one-on-one support as well as your own self-paced learning. And as the years go by, we want to acknowledge our members for their dedication and therefore make it even more of a return on investment. So next steps is if you are wanting to just ask some questions. So if you have any questions about how this could look in your business, or you're unsure as to whether this is something that you want to do or not, then Michelle will pop into the comments the link to book in. This is it's a 15-minute call. There's no pressure. We'll answer your questions and talk about Profit First and your business. If you've been following us for a while and you're like, yes, this is a no-brainer and would like to apply, then you can do that as well. This is a different link that will also go into the comments. This is an interview. So in this interview, this is where we will really look at what your business is, how it works, how Profit First could integrate, and answer any questions about the certification or the training or the membership, and then sign you up as a member if you're a full-bodied yes. One of the things that I always get asked is, that's a lot of money. And I'm not saying it's not, but I do want you to consider this. It's an investment, but when have you spent $10,000 on marketing or subscriptions that will help with workflow, and it's either given you more work and no return on investment? My challenge to you is to look at your top 10% of clients, and if you were to sign up a portion of them using some of these options that I shared with you today with the pricing available, what could that look like to you in terms of how you run your business, your revenue, and your profitability? Now, why am I sharing with you this? I'm sharing this because I really think that Profit First is a perfect addition to a bookkeeping business. One, I've been there before, but you're already on the ground. You're already talking to people. It can absolutely change your business from the deadlines and all of the time and effort that it takes to do the bookkeeping and compliance side, and really change your business where you spend less time doing that and more in really helping businesses move forward. And new members help us get Profit First out into the world. We really, truly believe that it should be part of school, part of financial literacy, part of running a business, and we want your help to do that. So to go into some of the details, we have global calls, so you get to join our global community as well as our local one. There are one-on-one calls available to you. So if you're stuck with anything, need technical Profit First help, want some help with marketing or some strategy, you can book in those calls. With our Profit First guides, we have a community of people that are completely open, share everything in terms of what they do, what works for them, their wins and their challenges. We have an open office once a week where our members come, they ask questions, they share wins. We go deeper into a particular Profit First topic or something that we're challenged as Profit First professionals to really help our clients more. We have events. We also have a directory of all of our Profit First professionals on our website. So I do recommend, if you are considering becoming a Profit First professional, have a chat to one of them, see what their experience was like or is like. Ask questions. They're a really friendly bunch. We've also got support in terms of meet and action sessions. We have additional education around niching, around marketing, around sales, around pricing. We, of course, help you through your certification, and we do have calls that are good times for everyone in both Australia and New Zealand. So just to remind you that if you do book your call this week for any time in March, that's when you will get that one-on-one support. Here are the links again. They will go into the chat. This is for the Q&A, and this is for the interview. Now, let's talk about frequently asked questions. So I'm going to just check. I've got a couple of questions here. So I also have a number of questions that have been emailed through to me. All right, so I'm going to start with the questions over here. What is the general feel from the client's accountant around you offering profit first services? Do you find it conflicts with any of their tax advice? It's a great question. So generally speaking, what we recommend is if you're working with someone and they have an accountant, introduce yourself and acknowledge that they may have a tax strategy in place. And what is that? Are there things to consider? The other thing to let them know is that profit first is cash in, cash out. We're only helping them with what they're already doing in a better way. And so most accountants, when you explain it in that way, are totally fine. And we haven't had a case yet where it conflicts with any of their tax advice unless they're a dodgy accountant. And what I mean by that is that they're trying to tell the business owner to just spend so that there's no tax that's payable. But most accountants are pretty open to the idea as long as it's helping their clients. But we do talk about this and we do have support available that if you're in that situation, we can talk through that. There are two people in my business that are going to provide this service. Do both need to have the training individually or can they both do it together on one subscription? Cool, that's a great question. So there's two options. One option is that one of you says that you are the person being certified within the business and you get access to all of the training, all of the support calls, all of the one-on-ones and everything that's included. And then you can transfer that knowledge to the other person in your business and they can then support you and work with you to do that. They would not get access to us or any of the calls, but they would get access to the university and the resources to help you, but you would be the one to train them and that would be included in the same membership. The other option is, and we have a number of PFPs that do this, is that they include other key people in the membership and each additional person is at 50% of the membership rate and they get full access. So they get all of the calls, all of the support, we help train them as well. And then you 2 or 3 or 4, however many, work internally to decide who does what and where and how, and it's a more collaborative thing there. So either option's completely fine by us. It depends what you're trying to achieve. Should the business owner be an employee? What's the best way to manage the owner's pay account? It's going to depend on structure. So if it's a sole trader, they can't go on wages and it is a matter of it going to drawings and that sort of thing. But I would have a conversation with the accountant to work out how much should actually be going to drawings and that sort of stuff. And the idea is the owner's pay, yes, it's 50%, but in some instances it may be less or it may be more, depending on the situation. And so the owner's pay account is like a bucket that accumulates the funds. And we normally do include, not for sole traders, but for company and trust setups and that sort of thing, super, PAYG and all of that in there so that they can just pull their net amount. Anyone, if realistically speaking, and I'm probably going more into advice, so this is just a general comment, is if the business owner is working in the business, then they really should be on a wage and a fair wage at that. And we would work to look at that that's 50% of what was happening if they're under or up to $250,000. But again, it depends on the situation, the setup, what they've put in and all of that. And that's why it's really important that we have PFPs, because it's not as straightforward as just paying yourself. But I hope that gives that question, that answers that question. Other questions that I have here are, when does certification start? So certification starts immediately. Once you sign up, you get access to the online university and you can get started with the self-paced portion of it, which is the theory, and there's certain quizzes and other things that you do there to really start that certification process. And we do have guides who will check in with you to see what support you need. So a number of our members will meet with a guide, set a plan for a period of time, and then you can get accountability built into that as well. But certification starts straight away. And the other question I've got here is, does Profit First work for personal finances? it does. Profit First works just as well for personal finances. So it is a matter of looking at what they need in their personal life, but the same process that works in business works in personal as well. Another question that I have here is, do you need to offer bookkeeping to offer Profit First? And the answer there is, you can be a bookkeeper and only offer Profit First services as standalone as well. It does not have to be together if you don't want to. It depends on where you are in your business. So I can see that we've got a hand raised. Lisa, did you want to ask a question? I don't hear anything. So maybe if you could pop it into the chat and then we can go from there. Okay, now going back to the last couple of questions that we have here. Does Profit First count towards CPD as a BAS agent? And yes, so anything that is recorded or as part of the training, you can put towards your CPD requirements for the year. And the last thing here is, where is it? How many Profit First bookkeepers do you have? So the Profit First bookkeepers that we have, we've got at the moment 61 members, and bookkeepers take up the majority of that. We've got about 20% that are coaches, 20% that are accountants, and the rest are bookkeepers. So thank you all for joining me live. If you have any questions, please let us know. We invite you to book in a Q&A call if you have any questions at all. And again, that is in the that's in the chat as well as on this screen here. And if you're ready to join, please do book an interview. And I can see we've got one last question and then we're going to wrap up. Are you doing an intensive certifications this intake? If we're going to be doing an intensive, it will be after the intake closes, so in June. But not at this point in time. We've just finished off a intensive certification, but it's very well done. You can fit it in with what it is that you do. So I hope that answers all of your questions. I thank you all very, very much for being here. If you have any questions at all, please book in a Q&A call. If you're ready to become a PFP, I'd love to have that conversation as well. All right, thank you everyone and have a great day. Thank you.